Hey guys, this is Alex Pierce from Lightsail VR. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to work with a packaged Unreal Engine project in Live FX. I'm going to be following this documentation here. You can find it at assimilate.gitbook.io. It's under the Quick Start Examples Packaged Unreal Engine Project Example, and it has a download for you to follow along and step-by-step instructions. I'm going to quickly show you what this means before we jump in. Essentially, if you take your Unreal Engine project and you package it to a game in a specific way, you can have it so that it's just an exe file. And in this example, you don't even need Unreal Engine installed on your computer to run this Unreal Engine project. So once I've set everything up, all I have to do is double click on this and then go into Live FX, and it's playing the Unreal Engine scene inside of Live FX. You can see here, if I move the X and Y position of the from the camera tab or the pan, you can see that we are actually using the Unreal Engine scene without having to be inside of Unreal Engine. It also works with web remote control, so either from an iPad or from any browser that's connected to the network, I can change certain things that I've built into my package. In this case, let's say I change the exposure. Let's just go to something extreme so we can see the difference here. So you can see that I am affecting our exposure compensation here. So let me bring that down. It's a little bit too far. I think it was around 4.8. You could also change things like saturation. So we could also change the saturation of our scene if we wanted to. In this particular project, I don't have a lot of things set up here, but you get the idea. You can use web remote with a packaged project. So let's go through the steps. First, we're going to download the example packaged project. You can download it from here. After you download it, let's go ahead and unzip it. I found that Windows will sometimes mess up the unzipping process of big files like this. So I use 7-zip, and I'm going to go to extract to Water Tower. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the folder here and keep going under Windows. And now you can see we have a few things here. And we have this shortcut here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And if you double click on this bhproject.exe, you will see what we're going to be working with. And essentially it's this demo scene, and it's this, this water tower scene. And right now we're facing the back of it for some reason. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and press Alt F4 to close that. And what we need to do is right click and go to Create Shortcut. And we can give this a name so we know what this shortcut is. So I'm going to call this Render Off Screen. And I'll go ahead and put 1920 because that's the resolution I'm going to be using. And now we're going to right click on that and go down to Properties. And you have this target here. So at the very end of this target, I'm using the right arrow to go to the end. I'm going to press space. So we're going to have one space there. And we're going to go back to our documentation here. We're going to copy these command line arguments. We're going to go back here. Again, there's one space after this quotes mark here. I'm going to do Control V to paste it in. And we can see what we're doing here. We're rendering it off screen. We're going to force the resolution to be of a specific resolution. We're going to enable the web control and the web control interface here. So this resolution should be the resolution of your LED wall or your monitor. So if your wall is, for instance, 2560 by 1320, that's what you're going to enter here, and you're also going to set your timeline resolution to match. So for now, I'm just going to use 1920 by 1080 just to keep it simple, but definitely keep that in mind. Now I also have a note here that if you're rendering off screen, you will not see the experience launch, and the only way to close that is to press Ctrl-Alt-Delete. So make sure you don't accidentally leave this project running in the background. So let's go ahead and press Apply on our shortcut. Okay. And now that we have this shortcut here, let's go ahead and double click on this. Now again, we're not actually going to see anything happen when we double click on this. The only way we can confirm it's even running is if we go to Ctrl-Alt-Delete, or if you go down to your task manager and you see this Unreal game, with the Unreal logo here. This is the only way I can know that, hey, something is actually happening, that it did actually launch. So I'm going to minimize that for now, and let's go to Live FX. I'm going to go back, and you will create your own project. I'm going to just make a new timeline for now. In the construct, under the player mode, you can change this to be timeline, and then now I can actually change the resolution if I want to. So I'll keep it at 1920 by 1080 for now. And I'm going to do filler, black, and then I'm going to drop this on the first slot here, and I'll double click to go into this shot. Okay, now I'm going to press create to make a new layer. I'll call this Unreal. I'm going to go down to plugins, and here I'm going to look for Live FX, Unreal Texture Share, and I'm going to apply this on layer. Now you can see we have our Unreal Engine scene coming in. Okay, now let's go to the Live FX menu and go to Live Links, and we're going to scroll down to Unreal Live Link. We're going to turn this on. If you're using the local machine, you don't need to broadcast, and if it's a local machine, you can just use 127.0.0.1. The port should be 9001, and then press connect. If you see these numbers moving, that means that the connection is active and it's working. While you're here, if you have any camera tracking, you can go ahead and turn it on and make sure to apply it to the camera. But for now, I'm just going to go back down here to camera, and I'm going to select active, and now I'm going to see if I can move the camera around in this scene. You might need to restart Live FX for it to work correctly, but now you can see that the scene is working. Let's go down to camera, and let's move our camera position back down to the ground. If you are connected to camera tracking, of course, this is going to work in your camera. And now the other thing we can do is if you go to Unreal Engine and you go back to localhost 30,000, you can use web remote control to control whatever options we have built in. So for instance, time of day, we can turn this to be 5 o'clock or 1700. Now we can change the time of day there. We can change the cloud coverage. I'm going to actually take out all the clouds. And I even have the watchtower location. So if you want to move that watchtower over, you can move it over, or you can get rid of it if you want. Now that we have this set up, let's look at how we can use the Unreal background for green screen or LED workflows. So we can go back to our construct here, and we can use Live Setup. Up here you have green screen with background, green screen with Unreal background. And so let's select Unreal background. And for the Unreal Capture, go to Live Capture and select Unreal Texture Share. For the foreground camera, I don't actually have one selected, so I'm just going to trick it by using Unreal as well. And here you can select your camera, and you can select your trackers, and then press Create. And of course, I don't have an actual camera set up, so we won't really see any green screen happening. But this would be, the key layer would be your capture card. And same for a projection setup. So if we go to projection setup, we can choose our project media, and instead of timeline or browse, we can do live capture Unreal Texture Share. And then we can continue on whether we want planar or frustum. We can choose our camera and our trackers. You can choose if you want a frustum highlight or not, and you press create, and this workflow will be similar to how you are used to working. Okay, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.